can you hear me? Sorry,
You're mute, Abhijit.
yeah, unmute Abhijit. Yeah.
Yes, Aro, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great, great. Yeah, thank you, Abhijit. Yeah, how are you doing? Is it what time is that in the US now?
Uh, it's 9:30. I'm in Seattle. I was there for an MVP summit, so I'm still
Oh,
in
okay.
Seattle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah. I mean, it's all the floors is all yours. I can share your session and then I will take questions later on after the your session. Thank you.
Sure. So let me share my screen. I'll share my screen and then I'll get started. Okay.
Sure.
Please let me know once you see my screen.
We can see.
Resharing my screen. Okay. Are you able to see my slide deck?
Yes, we can see. Thank you.
So good morning to all of you who has joined from India. So this is the session that I'll be presenting today, unlocking Copilot's potential, supercharge productivity with Microsoft Graph connectors. Before I begin the session, I'm Abhijit Zadav, have 20 plus years of experience, moreover in the areas of modern workplace. And right now I'm helping customers to implement the cloud solutions. I'm a Microsoft MVP for Microsoft 365 development. I'm also Azure Architect, Microsoft Certified Azure Architect. I work for Turn Digital as a Director for Cloud Solutions. This is my Twitter handle. If you have any questions or if you have any follow-up questions after this session, you can ping me and I'll be happy to help you or answer your queries. Okay, so this is the agenda which I would like to cover today. So this is the agenda that I would like to cover today. So I'll give some background. I'll talk about the Microsoft 365 Copilot flow. We'll try to understand what Microsoft Graph connectors fit in this Microsoft Copilot flow. I'll talk about the steps to configure the connector. We'll also go through the Microsoft Copilot integrations and we'll have a cool demo. And if you have any questions, you can definitely take those as well. So just to summarize, in this session, we'll delve into the features of Microsoft Graph connectors, and also we'll look into the use cases and see that how the Copilot's full potential can be utilized for unparalleled productivity in terms of when you're using Microsoft 365 Copilot. So the amount of information we create has grown exponentially and more often is distributed across multiple sources, making finding the information at the right time increasingly difficult. This might be the common questions you must have some or the other day you might have came across as an IT professional. So these are the questions where you try to come to in multiple distributed applications and you want to find some information. It really becomes difficult. If you want to understand how an expense claim is done, you want to understand if you are working in an Azure DevOps project and you want to know the specific work item, what is the status of that? If you have any unresolved bugs in say it is managed by Jira and you're trying to get those, you might struggle or you might not, you might need to jump from different screens. There is no single environment or interface where we can directly go in and try to find the information. So as per the Forrester, the research company, large enterprises typically they have 15 to 20 disparate systems to store their information, including popular industry standard applications, as well as There are also line of business applications as well. We all know about information silos. The data gets trapped in disparate system and it is disconnected and inaccessible because there are disparate systems within the organization. And there is an inconsistent naming within the organization. So for example, if you have a PM, so you can write PM, or you can write project manager, or you can write proj.mgr. So this is like a different nomenclature that is followed within the organizations. So files and folders lack clear and consistent naming convention, making them difficult to discover even with basic keywords. So one team it calls it an report, another team calls it an analysis, leading to confusion and waste of time. And every disparate system has its own search tool, and these search functions are clunky, and you struggle to find and understand the context and nuances of each of the disparate systems search. So this is the problem that we have seen across industry, across multiple systems. So initially, earlier, Microsoft has for the Microsoft 365 applications, Microsoft has introduced Microsoft Graph. As we all know, Microsoft Graph, it is a gateway to data and intelligence in Microsoft 365. So all the applications, whether it is devices, applications, all that information is available through Microsoft Graph. So at least you have a single endpoint with which you can extract the information and provide it to different sources, whether it is a web app, a bot, device, or native app. You can make a call to a Microsoft Graph and extract the information. So with user as its center, it connects to all the rich and relevant information and insights in the Microsoft Cloud, and it can extract that information and provide it to your, either it is your line of business application or Microsoft 365 application. So it empowers the Microsoft 365 experiences across the board. But in the ever evolving landscape of workplace productivity, Microsoft 365 Copilot. So this Microsoft 365 Copilot, it stands out as a beacon of innovation, harnessing the power of AI to transform how we interact with data and execute tasks. Imagine you are having an tireless assistant who is by your side, anticipating your needs and streamlining processes. That's Copilot in action. It analyzes your work style, identifies patterns, offers intelligent suggestions across Microsoft 365 applications. At the heart of this transformation lies the integration of Microsoft Graph connectors. It is a pivotal element to supercharge the Copilot's capability. By leveraging the Microsoft Graph connectors, Copilot can surface relevant information from external sources and directly within the flow of your work. Microsoft has been pushing this using Microsoft Teams, everything within the flow of work. So if you are using Microsoft Teams, it is the hub of teamwork, and all the applications, everything is available within the flow of work. With Copilot, it is the next step towards bringing the application and information within the flow of work. Now, before we get into and understand the connector, we'll try to see what is how the Copilot, the flow of Copilot, because that will really give us an understanding of how exactly the information moves, how the data is extracted, and how the finally when you send a prompt, how the information is extracted. So first off, you have the large language models hosted in Microsoft Cloud via the Azure OpenAI services. So you can see here in the blue. So, and just to be clear, this Copilot is not calling the public OpenAI service that is powering the chat GPT. It is not that. Microsoft 365 Copilot uses its own private instances of the large language models. Next, Microsoft 365 Copilot has a powerful orchestration engine. So Copilot capabilities are surfaced and in and work with Microsoft 365 apps. So if you're seeing here, either you're using plugins, you're using Dataverse, the Power Platform, or directly using the Copilot app within Microsoft Teams, or using the web interface for Copilot, it can give you the information. In the background, it is using the Microsoft Search to Microsoft Search is used to retrieve the information. The Microsoft Search endpoint, the Microsoft Graph Search endpoint is used to retrieve the information, and it feeds that information to this large language model. So whenever you ask any question to Copilot, first the question comes. So if you see here, the once you make a prompt, user prompt, it goes first to the Microsoft Graph. From Microsoft Graph, it uh, fetches two information. There are like there is a semantic index. So there are two levels of semantic index. One is at the file level, the document level, or the list items which are there. That is one. And then there is also a user level semantic index. So there are two types of semantic index. And with that information, with that semantic index, it will it will take the prompt, and it will extract all that information. And then a final prompt is created, which is finally sent to the LLM model. Then so as I said, like Microsoft Graph, it is the foundational model to Microsoft 365. It includes information about relationships, activities, what you're doing within your organization data. So the Copilot system respects per user access permission to any content, and graph information it retrieves. Right. This is important because Microsoft 365 Copilot will only generate responses based on information that you have explicit permission to access. So if you are asking, say, financial documents for 2024, okay, or so it will try to go and find the information financial documents, but it will also check whether you have the permission or not. I'll just show you in the demo. So this is the Copilot what we have. Okay, so here so this is a prompt which I'm asking the Copilot. I'm asking him to give me the count of emails I have received today. Okay, so when I make a prompt, this prompt goes to Microsoft Graph. It finds with the semantic index, it finds what permissions I have, what email addresses, from whom I have got an email. It will get the count of emails. Then that it creates a prompt, and that prompt is sent to the large language model, the AI service, and there it creates you the response, and then that final response is sent back to the Copilot, to your interface. Like this is the interface that we have. So the final response comes here. So just to summarize, the user prompt comes in here. From here, it goes to Microsoft Graph. Then it creates the final. It adds the context, content, permissions, everything. It goes from here to the large language model, the Azure OpenAI instance, and then it gives back the results. And then finally, that results is sent back to the interface. It also checks the compliance, sensitivity labels, compliance, if there is any kind of labels applied, and then it applies that before the information is finally sent to the Copilot interface, and that information is extracted from Microsoft Graph. I'll take a pause. Are there any questions so far? Or do anybody have any question? I would like to answer if there are any questions. Okay, I'll move on. So now what is the Microsoft Graph connectors? So Microsoft Graph connectors, this is the data bridge. Think of Microsoft Graph as a central hub for all of your Microsoft 365 data. So connectors, they are like bridges extending Copilot's reach beyond your core application. So I talked about Microsoft Graph. It is able to get all the information from Microsoft 365. But if you want to go beyond that, the bridge will be your Microsoft Graph connector. They connect to the Copilot. Connect to Copilot, that means it brings the data into the Microsoft Search Index. It connects to Copilot to external data source, whether it's your CRM application, your project management tool, or any kind of, there are n number of ways you can get the data from an external source. Either develop a custom connector. Microsoft have also provided different connectors out of the box. And this Microsoft Graph connector, these are the tools that allow you to bring the data from the external source. The platform that connects the data, it brings the all the data and show it in your Microsoft 365 experiences. This means that you can search for and access information from external sources. You can access that information from your apps like your SharePoint search, your Outlook, and without having to switch between the applications. So it is directly either available within the Copilot, or you can also access, there are other Microsoft 365 experiences as well. Once you use the Microsoft Graph connector, with that you will be able to get the information, and all that information will be surfaced within your Microsoft 365 application. So in other words, Microsoft Graph Connectors helps enterprises to merge all these data sources with Microsoft 365 content to surface this information across multiple endpoints using Microsoft Search. So it is using the search endpoint within Microsoft Graph to bring all that data and show it to the users. So then users can search across without minimal context switching. They enable users to discover information within their organization and within the excuse me, within the same search experience. So there are no, like every time you go to a disparate system, there are the ways the search is being done within that application might be different. Here you need not have to do that because you will have only one interface. And it helps you, like the Microsoft Graph Connector as a platform. You can use the out of the box search connectors which are available, but you can also get the information using your own connector as well. So how do the Microsoft Graph connectors work? This is in terms of when the connection is finally done, when you have the data within your Microsoft search. So when a user makes a search, whether it is in SharePoint or within Copilot, when it makes a search, the search query goes to the Microsoft Search Index via Graph API. It retrieves the index data from the external sources, which is available in the index, which is as part of the Microsoft 365 content once the indexing is done. And then that data is transformed into formatted result types for SharePoint or for any other like result types. You can create it within the SharePoint search, and then that data is displayed. And that is available within your Microsoft 365 experience. So this is the overview of connectors. So say you have SharePoint, you have your Bing, Windows applications. So with that, this is the Microsoft Graph. And then with these connectors, these are the out of the box connectors that are available. Azure Data Lake, Windows File Share. Now the list is increased. You can connect to any of these enterprise data and bring this data back into your not only your Microsoft 365 experiences, but you can also have the data into the Microsoft Copilot. So there are three building blocks for this Microsoft Graph connection. There is a connection that you need to create first. You have to register the connection, create the connection. You have to define the schema. So there is a JSON schema that you need to define, that what properties from the application from the external application you want to bring it. You need to assign these aliases and semantic labels. This is really important when you want to bring the data into your Copilot. When you make a query, if you want that data brought back to the your Copilot prompt, the interface, it is really important to define the semantic labels. And once you start, and then once you index the item, it will bring all that data. You can apply the permissions against it, and you can define the access, even the connector information, like against each line item of search index that you are bringing from an external system. You can apply the permissions on that using the endpoints, the graph connector endpoints. You can apply it against you. It is called access control list, ACL. So you can apply ACL on each of that list items of indexed items. And once the user comes in and makes a search, only with the assigned permissions users can get that data. So typically these are the steps. I'll quickly show you in the interface as well, but typically these are the steps. The first step is we need to connect to a non-Microsoft data source. The graph connector will need to know where the data source is located. It can connect to both on cloud. It can connect to the cloud resources, or it can also connect to the on-premise deployments. So if we have to connect with the on-premise environment, a gateway might be required. There is also a connector agent, lightweight connector agent, which will bring the data and push the data into the connector APIs. And there are different types of authentication supported. The OAuth authentication is also supported when you are making connections. And once the connection is successful, we can proceed to the next step, that is to configure. The graph connector allows the flexibility to configure the data. Configure your connection as per your needs. You can select the properties that you want, the metadata information that you want to bring from there. You can also change the labels of the properties. Say, for example, you are bringing the data from ServiceNow. So what happens is in ServiceNow, the description might be, it might be description and short description and long description, or short description and description are the fields that you have in ServiceNow. So when you bring that fields into your Microsoft 365 index, you can change that short description to title and description to the content. If there you have the field name content, you can change here and bring it to description. So that options are available. Then you can define the schema, that what all fields you can do, as there are 4 types of queries. Why don't we just go ahead and see the demo? I think that will really give us an understanding of how this is done. So let me go ahead. So in your admin center, here is where you can create select the data sources. Okay, so when you click on add as a new data source, you have multiple options. Okay, so these are the out of the box data sources that are available. You can select any of these data sources, whether as enterprise website, Azure DevOps, the custom character if it is available, or you can also select the Jira, ADLS, Oracle. These are the different options that are available. Okay, so for our purpose, we'll go ahead and create the, let us create the ServiceNow tickets. Okay, so when you're creating the data source, it asks you this. So this will be your ID of your connection. So when you're making calls using the Graph API, it will use this ID. So you have to be very sure when you have to make sure that there are no spaces, there are no special characters here. So I'll keep this service. Okay, so I'll just this will be. So this icon, where you can also give and update an icon as well if it is needed. So this is more over. I'll skip those parts. So you need to give the URL for your service now. So I have an URL here. So it supports multiple authentication. You can use OIDC, the OpenID Connect, or you can use the OAuth authentication. For this demo, I'm going to use the basic authentication. Okay, the connection is successful. So here you have an option, what data you want to bring it from your external system. So in this case, for ServiceNow tickets, you have options to bring all tickets, or there might be individual tickets where you only want specific tables. Okay, anything which is related to say change request, you want to only bring the data related to incidents. You want to only bring the data related to the tasks, incident task. So you can select individual tables or you can select all tickets. Also, you have option to add and remove the properties. So you can select any of these properties and remove those properties, or you can keep all the properties. In some cases, because of the regulatory reasons, you don't want to bring all that data that is not required. So you can remove the properties and only keep the properties that are required. So these are the selected properties that are, I'll go with the default properties. And you also have an option where you can select and write a query string. So only the so this is like filtering the data, only the active records we want to bring, only the active tickets, and the system when only created in the last 6 months. So we are going to bring only that data. Okay, so this is the preview of that. So I'm already connected and can see the data is available. So here you have an option to select the MEIDs. Okay, you can select the type of ID. Excuse me. Select the type of IDs that you want. So I was talking about the ACLs. So you can select the task and you can select the properties. You can show the whatever data you are bringing in from the external source. If you want to show it to all users, you can select to everyone. But you can, if you don't want to do that, you have an option to select the type of identity, whether it is MEID or some non-MEID. You can select based on that. So this is the Microsoft Entra ID. So in some cases where an SSO is enabled, your external system might have the same IDs as you can might be using the Microsoft Entra IDs for logging. In that case, you can directly use and take the get the data. You will have the ACLs using the MEID. You can map those. But in some cases, say you have a learning management system which is developed in-house, or you have a learning management system which is following a different identity for authentication. So in that case, you can select a non-MEID and then you can define your rules to map your non-MEIDs against your MEIDs. So that once you are bringing the data within your tenant within Microsoft 365, appropriate ACLs are applied to the to each of those indexed items, so that only required the person who has the access will be able to see that. Okay, in our case, we'll go with everyone. Yeah, so in our case, for if it is MEID, then you don't need it. But if it is non-IMEI ID, you can use that and you can use the property. See, you can map it against each of the property. You can use the user principal name, you can use the AAD ID, you can use their email address or Active Directory SID. You can select any of these properties, sometimes say mail, and then select what other properties you have. You can apply the formulas as well. So there are different ways where your non Microsoft identity provider. If you have a different identity provider, you can use and map that IDs so that appropriate permissions are applied. And this is the next. So I was talking about this. Okay. So here you are seeing the title and you're seeing the short description. So the source property is short description. When you bring that the short description property into the Microsoft 365, you're showing it as title. So you can change that and map it against these labels. You have an option to add the labels or modify these labels as well. And then you have for each of these items. Okay, so each of these columns that you have selected, you would need to select whether those are searchable. So you have four attributes here. So one is querying, searching, retrieving, and refining. So querying is like you when you do a Google search and you want to find a PowerPoint presentations only or PDF only, you type the keyword and you give file type equal to colon equal to PDF, right? Colon PDF. So if you want to query against that particular property, you need to select that. So you can select so here you are selecting assign to. So assign to colon and if you type say Abhijit Zadav, then you will be able to extract all the information which is assigned to Abhijit Zadav from here. And so searchable is where you just type your keyword and just search it, you will be able to search it. And then retrievable is where you will get what all information is finally retrieved and showed in the search content. And refining is where you apply your filters. You have different filters, you can refine it. Say the tickets equal to active, status equal to active, and things like that. Or assign to equal to Abhijit Zadav. So you can just select here as refine, and then those tickets can be refined. And this experience is on the uh, like the search experience will be on the SharePoint side. But when you're using it within Copilot, uh, what say you can just ask what are the active tickets assigned to Abhijit Zadav. So what the prompt once you send this prompt to Copilot, what it will do is it will um, this information goes to Microsoft Graph. It will find that information. It will break it into these attributes. It will pull the information. And then finally, this information is sent to the LLM so that the response is created. And then that response goes back to the user. Okay, so these attributes, based on these attributes and properties that you're setting up, based on that, the final prompt is sent to the Copilot. And then we have this crawling. Every search engine will have crawling that would be required. There will be an incremental crawl where any changes happen within say given time every day. It will start. We can define the recurrence of that. Either it is weeks, second weeks, fourth weeks, every day. You can select that. You can also select there is an option to have every 15 minutes. And in case of full crawl, which is an end-to-end crawl, you can also select the day. Like if you want to select every week, you can add the days and you can select the days on which you want to do, say Sunday evening if you want to do that. And you can also select the time on at what time you want to do. Say you want to start in the morning, 12 a.m. on Sunday, you can start that. And once you define all your properties and once you configure your connector, you have an option where you can publish it to a limited audience first. This is moreover for the beta testing where you can have a staged rollout. You can have this released, get the actual data and have it released for a specific group. And once that group validates it, verifies it, tests it, you are seeing all the data, whatever you want, then you can release it to the entire audience. So you have an option here where you can release it to the specific group. Okay, so say you want to release it only for human resources, you can select that and then select that group and release it for the limited audience. Okay, I'll publish it now. So it takes typically based on the content, it takes 5 to 10 minutes to actually publish the connector. But based on uh, the volume of the content, uh, the indexes are created. Okay, so I'm just going to show it in all verticals. So let me show you the one which is already there, which is already created and it is already indexed. Okay, so I have one here. So here I have the 31 items are in error, but there are 325 items that are indexed. Okay, we have uh, so this is connected to the actual ServiceNow environment, and from there it is pulling the data and it is available in the system. So once this is created, now you have two options. Okay, one is where you can show the data into your SharePoint environment. So if you want to show that data into the SharePoint environment, what you would need to do is you need to go here in the customization, and you would need to define the create a vertical. So vertical is nothing but another tab that you get on the top of your search. If you have done Google search, there are like images and videos and those kind of tabs, right? So this is kind of an enterprise tab that you can create. You can add one more tab here, and then it will be visible. That's the verticals. Okay. Result types is where I'll just show you the. So result type is how that information that you have brought it from the external source. So how that information will be visible to the user, right? So ServiceNow tickets for AI demo, that was the one which I selected. So here you have option to filter the content when those are displayed. And then you also have an option where you can create your own interface. It provides the adaptive card kind of functionality where you select your properties and right, yeah. So here you select the layout, whatever layout. Say for example, I choose this layout and then get started. So to create this layout, what all properties are required, I can take those properties from the system and then assign the title URL modified by modified time, whatever those properties are. I can assign those properties and finally the result layout is created. So this is for the SharePoint, right? So if you're going to see this result into SharePoint, you can create the result type. But if you want to get that data into your Copilot, so that for that you need to make sure that your uh, schema is defined appropriately. So the semantic labels that you have, this are really important when you are making when a call is made by the uh, Copilot, like when you send a or when you write a prompt for a Copilot, it uses this information, this semantic labels that are so last modified date time, last modified by URL, title, file extension, and these kind of prompts. These are important where using these, it is going to find the information. Say you want to find project document or the project plan created by Abhijit in last month. Okay, so within last 30 days, any project plan that was created. So that time it is going to check these semantic labels and then, excuse me, taking that, it is going to, with that semantic label, it is going to show you the information or create the prompt. Excuse me, give me a second. I'll just have a word. So you also have an option to add new source property. From there, you can select the other source properties which you have not selected, and then you can say this one. I'll just select an active. You can add. Okay, so this is just an alias for the same active property, and it's a Boolean type. So you can select whether you can retrieve it, query it, refile it. Based on that, review the permissions, and you can add this property and you can publish it. So that property will be available for, you can see that property here, it will be available. Okay, similarly, you can change the property, any of the properties you want to send, you can update the semantic labels, you can update the alias for each of these properties as well. So here right now you can see that there are no aliases created, but if you want, this is really helpful in case of I told you an example of project manager, right? So you want to find who is the project manager for project X, right? So the person who is writing the prompt, he can write who is the PM for the project X, or who is the proj.mgr dot for project X. So all of that, if you want to make a call or have that prompt created, I'm talking a very simple prompt here, but I hope you get the logic of that. Like anything related to that, any aliases which you are creating. So when you're writing the prompt, this information, the semantic labels and aliases will be used to actually retrieve the information, the search results. Okay. Now going back, once this is created and all this information is available, then your items get indexed. And you will get the last modified at and the last modified how many items are indexed, and final items are you have indexed and brought all those items from your ServiceNow tickets into your Microsoft 365 index. Okay, so now all these items are available within your Microsoft 365 index. So once this is available and once you get that information, you have multiple options. You can configure it within your SharePoint site. um, Let me show you that I have configured it within my SharePoint site. Here it is. So here I am making, so this is my SharePoint site, right? So I make a call. I am searching something for Ethernet, right? So as soon as I'm making a call and it is searching for that information, the ServiceNow information, and it is giving me that information within the prompt. Okay, so I am getting this information. I also have the icon that this information is coming from ServiceNow and this information is available directly. So any users who are actually coming to the SharePoint and they want to search any information in your ServiceNow, now they need not have to go to ServiceNow and search. Right? They can just come to the site, they can search for the information and they can, you can directly click on the ServiceNow link and it takes you to your ServiceNow page where you can see this information. Okay, so this is one experience where the data is available and it is configured from SharePoint. Now the second experience is, say you have your Postman. So I'm showing it in Postman, but moreover, what I'm trying to show you here is you have your line of business application and you are not using you want to use this data, that the data from the graph connector. If you want to use that data within your line of business applications, you can use that as well. So I have got the access token now. So here I'm making a call to the endpoint, the search endpoint. I'm querying it and I'm making a call to within my all external connections or the data which I have, the connectors which I have, the external connectors. I'm searching for the query string news. Okay. When I make that call, I will get the information. I will also get the rank, the different properties which are available for that particular from the connector, wherever that information is available, who has posted it, what is the URL, the description posted on, location ID, content domain ID, what all information or what all properties you have configured. So the data which came from your external system, that data is indexed within your Microsoft 365 index. And when you make a call using the graph endpoint, now the data is available within your graph. Within your Microsoft 365, that data is available where you can get that data. Okay. So coming back to in our case, we talked about the flow of Copilot, right? So here we talked about whenever you send a prompt, that prompt comes to Microsoft Graph. So here, when it comes to Microsoft Graph, here it finds the context, which user has sent this. It will find your name. It will check whether you have the access content. It will send all that, gather all the information related to that prompt, and send that information to uh, uh, the model, the large language model, so that the prompt is created, the answer to that, the response to your prompt is created, and then your final prompt, the response to your prompt is finally sent to the interface from where it is fired. Okay, we'll see that in action. Okay. So, this is what I have. Okay. So this is the prompt. It is now going and searching within your Copilot. Now the Copilot is sending that information. It goes to the Microsoft Graph. It finds out which user it is sending. And then finally, see it when I send that request, it goes through the environment. It goes to the information. It finds that ServiceNow document where I get that information. And from my Copilot, it is making a call. It will give me the citation from where it brought all the information from my Copilot. It is showing that in my Copilot prompt, and it is also giving me a hyperlink. If I click on my hyperlink, it will take me to the actual page of my request where I see that information is available. It is available here. So if I go to my ServiceNow page, so that I'll get the same information in my ServiceNow. So from my Copilot, I can directly go to I can click on that information. I can click on here and then go to that page, find my MAC address. Okay, I'm showing you this using GIF because that information is not currently, it is not indexed in my prod tenant, but this is what the data will be indexed from your the data from ServiceNow comes into your Microsoft 365 index, and when the user sends any kind of prompt to the Copilot, ask any prompt to the Copilot, you will finally see this information like this. Coming back to the presentation. I think I have talked about the benefits in bits and pieces. So we'll go through the benefits that Graph Connector has. It gives us the unified search experience by integrating the data from various sources into Microsoft Search. It brings it into Microsoft Search. You can use it using your line of business application. You can make API calls and get the data, or you have option to use the Microsoft 365 experiences. The experiences can be Microsoft. It can be a SharePoint site, or it can be a Copilot where you will get the data from your Microsoft Graph. It enables you to create custom connectors across diverse data sources. So if you have a CSV, if you have any kind of data source that is available, you can use the graph search endpoints to create the connection, push that data, apply the permissions on that particular indexed item, and the data will be available in your flow of work. It will reduce the need for users to switch between different applications to find that information. It is within the flow of work you are getting that information, and the data is protected by the same security and compliance policies that are applied within Microsoft 365 data. So to conclude, Microsoft Graph Connectors, it enables you to extend the graph, Microsoft Graph, and connect to the different sources. So Microsoft Graph Connectors, these are the linchpin in unlocking the full potential of Microsoft 365 Copilot. It is offering a seamless and intelligent experiences that elevates the productivity to new heights. By bridging the gap between the external data sources and Microsoft Graph, the Copilot becomes an even more powerful tool. It is capable of providing you insight and assistance across a vast array of content. And as we continue to embrace the AI in the workplace, the synergy between the Copilot and Microsoft Connector will undoubtedly play a crucial role in shaping the future of work. So that's my presentation. And if you have any questions, queries, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Abhijit. I'm really appreciate your session. It's very interesting how we can use it in your workloads. Very beneficial for people. Guys, have any question for him? Please shoot his question and he will reply to you. I can unmute you yourself if you want to. So we have a lot of people inside. Please, he will able to answer.
Yeah, Jadhav, like how to integrate whatever you create in the connector, right, in our admin center. So into a SharePoint search, is it automatically will come appear or particular SharePoint site or how it is?
Yes. So for a SharePoint site, let me show it to you for the SharePoint site. Okay, so there are multiple ways where you can create the verticals that are available. So there is a SharePoint site which is at the org level. Okay, there is also a SharePoint site which is at the site level. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you at the site level how I have it. Okay, so say let me take one site from here. I have human resources. So if you want to configure the data that you have at the site level or the verticals at the site level, what you can do here is you can have the site content, go to site settings, and here at the bottom, you will see that search insights and configuration, right? So here you can select the search insights and configuration.
No,
Here,
are you sharing your screen? I think you are not sharing your screen.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'll start it from the initial things. Okay, I am in my human resources site. Are you able to see
Yes,
my screen?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So this is my human resources site. So I went to site contents. Okay, and in site settings, you have an option here, search insights and configuration. So once you configure everything in your admin center, you have option to configure the verticals. Okay, verticals in your site. So here you can add a vertical similar to what I have already added. Let me show you what I have already added. So this is the ServiceNow tickets, snow tickets. So here you will, when you're creating this, you can select the content source. Okay, so if you have configured the connectors,
Okay.
all the connectors will be visible here in your SharePoint site. These will be visible here. So you have to select that particular connector. Here I have ServiceNow ticket for global AI demo. And then once you click it, you can query the data. Say, for example, the data you have not queried when you brought it from the external source, you still have an option to query the data. Since you are creating this for human resources, you can apply a KQL query to that data and filter that data against with these properties what are available. You can filter that data and you can apply that. Filter options are available, and then once you update the vertical, you have to make sure uh, it is enabled. Okay, so once by default when you create it, it is not enabled. You have a button here, so you can see here right at the bottom. So this state you have to, by default it is disabled. So you have to click on it and then enable it. And once you update the vertical and make a search call here, so you go back to the site. I think once you go back to your site and it's taking time. Yeah. So you will see here store tickets. So you will start seeing the data. So your vertical is configured here. So this is at the site level. For the organization level, these are configured in your admin center itself. So if you go to your admin center, here you have customization. And in your verticals, here I have configured these verticals, right? I have brought the data from Saba, ServiceNow tickets, Power BI. So all that data is available here. So you can create a vertical and that data will be available in your organization search page. If you want to do it at the site level, you have to go in the site contents and then do there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the information.
Any other questions?
Abhijit, maybe you can share your LinkedIn profile so that they have any questions they can ask you through LinkedIn as well, so that we close the loop in that way.
Sure, I'll do that. I'll give my LinkedIn ID as well. Yeah, so this is my LinkedIn ID. If you have any questions or any queries, because I have been working on this search connector, specifically search connector since 2018. In my previous organization, we were kind of Microsoft partners where we were developing the connectors for different organizations. So anything related to connectors, ping me and I'll be happy to help you.
Sure. Yeah. Shiva, I have a question. We'll take last question, then we have to move to the next speaker. Yeah, Shiva, please unmute yourself and ask question.
No, I by mistake clicked on this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So
I already asked the question about the
okay,
search.
yeah. So thanks, Abhijit, for a wonderful session. Really appreciate your time here on this Saturday, and then thanks a lot for our session. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Aro.
Thanks,
It's
Abhijit.
really a privilege to give my session, and all the best to all the other speakers for the session. Have a wonderful day, guys. Happy learning.